Upasana Taku joining us now. She's Executive Director, Chairperson and CFO of MobiKwik Systems. Upasana, very good morning. And great to have you here with us on NDTV Profit. All right, so it's been an exciting few months. The IPO funds coming in, and like I said, a power up for the company's balance sheet. The lock-in has also, now opened up, and then you saw some impact there. Give us a sense of directionally where you're heading now that the industry, and I'm sure you as well, are tamping down on the BNPL segment, which was the steam engine.
Right. So firstly, thank you so much for having me this morning. Glad to be here as a recently listed company. I think first thing I want to say is that the fintech market in India has an amazingly large opportunity ahead of us. I mean, everything said and done, less than half of India is transacting digitally today. Okay, so there is a lot of growth available in the next 10-year time frame for all the companies to tap into. When it comes to MobiKwik, what I want to tell you is that we have demonstrated very strong growth year over year in terms of revenue performance, as well as achieving profitability for straight 6 quarters, which is 4 quarters of FY24, and then also the first 2 quarters of FY25. Now, that said, what are we doing in terms of where are we today? So this is the first time that the company has raised a substantial amount of capital. 570 crores is the highest amount of capital the company has ever raised. I'm just laying the context. Even if I add this together with 1200 crores that we had raised prior to the IPO in the last 15 years, that's a total of less than 1800 crores. With this kind of capital, MobiKwik has been competing with direct competitors that have raised 20,000 crore, 46,000 crores, etc., etc. That said, where we are today, I'm quite happy, but I can see that the payments business is doing really well. It's been growing 3x last couple of years, actually more than 3x. This year, again, we are headed in that direction. We are already the largest wallet in India. We are 4th or 5th ranked in terms of the bill payments. And we are trying to catch up very smartly in the UPI market with innovative new products like Pocket UPI and a co-branded credit card. So I think payments will continue to give us a lot of growth in terms of users, merchants, GMV, and revenue. Payments take rate has been 0.7%. Thereabouts, it keeps hovering it between 0.67 to 0.75% last few years. So that continues to be the case. We do payments in a positive contribution margin. So from this 0.7% take rate, about 19 to 20% is our net retention, what we call contribution margin. And as we keep scaling up payments, I think this itself becomes substantial. Now that we have so many users, we have 170 million users and roughly 5 million merchants. Of course, then we try to cross-sell other financial products to them. Now, in the cross-sell, you mentioned BNPL. I just want to clarify that MobiKwik is not a manufacturing company. It's not an NBFC. We are in the distribution business. So if the market or the consumers wanted BNPL, we were cross-selling BNPL. If the market wants merchant loans, merchant cash advance loans, if the market wants personal loans, if the market wants secured loans, credit card, we will bring all those products from our partner banks.
No, I understood, Upasana. I just want to know how big a part of your portfolio was BNPL, and then I'll come to the point on payments.
So BNPL was substantial in our credit distribution business in the last few years.
Yes.
But in FY25, already you are seeing that we are trying to defocus away from that product, and we are trying to diversify into distribution of other financial products. And not just credit products, but also savings products, as well as insurance products.
Okay, just one point on payments. Like you said, and correctly so, that payments is, the big push for you and for your business. But what about acquisition costs that come for that part of the business, which have also going up? Can you give us some, color on that?
So I don't really think that they are going up. We are adding about 5 million users or 50 lakh, users every quarter. And the customer acquisition cost continues to hover in the 30s. And I think that's the case. Whether it's 32, 35, I don't think that's a material difference. It has a little bit to do with the dollar rupee also, because Google, Meta, all these big MNCs, they charge in dollar. So the dollar rupee conversion rate also affects the customer acquisition cost, because we are acquiring all our users on our app digitally. So the customer acquisition continues to be healthy. Merchant acquisition also continues to be healthy. And I think that we intend to grow the space even further now that we have, we have only received money in the bank in December and we are sitting in March right now. So all the investments that we want to make in terms of growing the user base, growing the merchant base, sort of scaling up the platform, and then adding more and more innovative products, all those investments are literally now going in. So you will see them, reap benefits sort of in the quarters to come.
Upasana, I'll go back to the overall business right now, because if you talk about the first 9 months of FY25, despite the total income, which has surpassed what you had achieved in FY24, you have reported a loss in the first 9 months, right? Is that trajectory what you see from here on, that you could be a loss-making company in FY25, taking into consideration the expansions that you have? And secondly, you have considered expansion into insurance and savings product distribution as well. So how are you tying up these two? Because your acquisition costs have been going up as well.
Again, I would like to reiterate that the acquisition cost continues to be in the range of 30 to 35 rupees. This is far lower than most of our competitors. This is at least 10x lower than most of our competitors. So while relative to our own performance, it may look higher. Just a small point I wanted to clarify. Now, coming to your question on profitability. Yes, it is true that, in quarter 3, we have not been able to be profitable, even though we have surpassed FY24 revenue in the first 3 quarters of FY25. But the short reason for that is very simple. We do report our payments revenue separately and our distribution of financial products revenue separately. You can see that there is a substantial dip in the distribution of financial services revenue, and that dip is in line with reduced disbursals. Reduced disbursals are actually in line with the market. Because if you think about it, the second half of 2024, there was a sentiment of a weak sentiment on unsecured lending. And it's only now that we see green shoots in that sentiment turning around. Since we are not the balance sheet owner, it's the banks and the NBFCs. So if they want to disburse less, of course, our disbursals via our platform will be less, and therefore the revenue will be lower.
Which is the question over here is, does that mean that FY25 is going to be a year of losses?
Well, I think the year is not closed yet, so I would not like to give any indications. But I would like to state that uh, the fixed cost of the company continues to be in check. Now, if one part of the business is doing really well and the other part is not doing so well because of the market sentiment, it is not just our numbers. All banks and NBFCs have also reduced disbursals. Therefore, it is going to have an impact on the bottom line. Now, I think that what we are trying to do is we are trying to scale up our payments business even more substantially, so that that itself covers my fixed costs and I can break even sooner than later. And that is what we are trying to do in this calendar year.
Okay.
So that whatever we can generate from distribution of financial products should really be icing on top of the cake, and we should not be dependent on the distribution in order to be profitable. That is the earnest goal with which we are operating.
Okay, no, so very, very clearly put. So then in your own words, Upasana, what are the headwinds that you see? You talked a little while earlier about, focusing on UPI payments. Again, very crowded, not a huge margin, and, a space where everyone is there. Volumes are great, but then again, everyone is there. So what is going to be that secret sauce, and what are going to be the headwinds in your view?
So see, the headwinds, I already explained. The headwinds were mostly on the side of unsecured lending. And I think those
What I mean, going forward, I mean.
Yeah. So going forward, specifically for UPI growth, I don't see any specific headwinds. You're right, UPI is very large. There are many players, and of course, there are top 2, 3 players who already hold 80% of the market. But again, I want to reiterate to you what is MobiKwik's DNA. MobiKwik's DNA has been to always be innovative and bring interesting products to the market, which allows us to differentiate. We have not grown on the back of marketing dollars like many of our competitors. We have grown back on the back of product innovation and delivering a strong user experience. So within UPI, we don't believe that we can succeed on what we call vanilla UPI payments, which is paid from your bank account to any other bank account. We are trying to innovate on new products like a RuPay credit card. RuPay credit card is usable everywhere on the UPI network. And so we are trying to bring that to the market. It is already in a closed user group available on our app to some users, and we are trying to bring it to the entire public. This would be an innovative product which would differentiate us, and it would allow us to also capture revenue, because a RuPay credit card actually is an MDR generating instrument on the UPI network. That's number one. Number two, the last entire year, we have seen substantial growth on our innovative product called Pocket UPI. Pocket UPI is nothing but pay with your wallet everywhere on UPI. And that helps you keep your bank account safe. You don't have so many small transactions in your bank statement, and you're also not entering your bank PIN for every 50, 100 rupee transaction. So Pocket UPI, which is technically PPI on UPI under interoperability, is scaling very rapidly for us and continues to grow.
Can you share any numbers on Pocket UPI?
No, I don't think we have disclosed any numbers yet, so I cannot.
Okay. Or just what the initial adoption rate or any initial response has been?
No, I think the response has been amazing. I think the users that have, I can tell you that we have probably grown 10x in that business just in the calendar year 2024 from January, to December. Interestingly, Pocket UPI, which is PPI on UPI, also has an MDR. Now that MDR has been written down by RBI, and it has not manifested yet, but it is in the early stages of execution. So it should kick in sometime this year also. So these are going to be additional kickers, that help us not only in scaling our business in UPI, but also in generating more revenue. Thirdly, in our payments business, devices, which we have specifically raised some capital for in the IPO use of proceeds. That is also a business where we are trying to bring sound boxes and EDC machines to our heavily engaged users in the tier 2, tier 3 markets. So that will also give us, rental income and higher lock-in with our small merchant base, the Kirana stores in tier 2, tier 3 cities. These are some additional revenue drivers that will add to our existing payments revenue.
Upasana, my last question is with regards to the launch of new insurance and savings business in 2025. To what extent is the plan with regards to scaling up, and how much would you be investing on this side?
So I think these are baby verticals for us, but we are getting started. I think you will see more progress on the investments vertical, where today on the MobiKwik app, we have a product called Lens.ai, which allows a user to connect all their bank statements using account aggregator. And it's a very smart bank statement. It's conversational. You can ask, how much did I spend on groceries? How much did I spend on travel? And you will get a conversational reply. We are using this to engage users. I think we have about 5 million users engaged on this product. And then from here, we are seeing users trying to invest. So for example, you can invest across 8, 9 fixed deposits from banks and NBFCs very simply via the MobiKwik app. These are high yield fixed deposits. There's direct mutual funds. There is digital gold, and we are trying to bring more products there. On insurance, we've literally just launched our first product. It's called Shop Insurance, and it has just gone live for our small merchants. So we are trying to, capitalize on the mind share of our users as well as our merchants. And the idea is that whatever product they need in the space of finance, we should be able to serve them.
Right. So, Upasana, basically, these will be small products, small businesses that, at least you start off with. Thank you so much.